Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode of Versus. My name is Midnight Strike 3625. So, now that we've analyzed Metallica and Megadeth's projected best albums, now it's time to analyze their worst and basically pick out the diamond in the rough, or, well, the gem in the pile of shit, basically. So, yeah. Risk and Saint Anger. Saint Anger and Risk, moreover, by Metallica and Megadeth were released in two very different time periods and both have very different styles from one another and very different styles from what the band had produced prior to those two albums. So, basically, Saint Anger, I'm going to begin with Metallica. It was released in 2003, and it was released after a shit ton of hardships with the band. James had gone to rehab, Jason had left in 2000 or 2001, and the whole Napster controversy basically started a whole feud between Metallica and their fans after the whole Napster I Disappear incident, and it was basically a demo that leaked, so you guys all know the story. And then Metallica's Metallic Hops or Metallica Napster Bad cartoons were released. So the band was, needless to say, underneath a shit ton of pressure. They were under a lot of stress, as it were. So when they released this album, they have most recently described it as a cleansing period before they could get back into the thrash metal that is found on Death Magnetic. 4 years later? No, 5 years later ish. So, yeah, this album is, to say the least, an atrocity, in my opinion, in my personal opinion. There are only a few good things on it, but my point is, it's closer to their old sound than what Risk was to Megadeth's prior sound. So, I guess it's more of a raw, kind of underproduced Metallica without the solos, of course. I mean, what the hell did Kirk Hammett even do? Was he just sitting in a chair drinking a beer throughout the entire time, and then randomly he'd chime in with frantics, you're living a lie or something like that? You're living a liar! Yeah, it's fucking horrible. The live, I believe it was live in 2007 or something like that, and Kirk Hammett was doing all he had was a mic. He didn't even need a fucking guitar. It was pretty bad. Pretty pitiful. But in general, my feelings towards Saint Anger are just I do not like that album at all. I think it's probably one of the worst heavy metal albums of all time. So, that being said, there are only a few good things about it in my mind. Even though, yeah, it did come out during a hard time, with James's rehab and band members leaving and all that stuff. But like you can't excuse things like on All Within My Hands, kill, 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 and of course James singing out of key. I mean, you could argue maybe he was drunk. No, he just came from rehab. He couldn't have been drunk. So, really, yeah, there are no excuses for this album. I mean, you can only say cleansing period so many times before you're just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, yeah. So enough about that. 1999. This is 4 years prior to this. In Megadeth's discography, they released Risk, which to many fans alienated them. They alienated many fans by releasing this album. And the entire reason why this album was released is because, well, Lars Ulrich went up to Mustaine himself and said, you need to take more risks with your albums, with your music making, with basically your band. And Mustaine agreed. And most recently, in 2013, this year of March of 2013, he has come out and said that Crush 'Em was their worst song, was his least favorite song. I would personally have to disagree, but, it's Mustaine, so whatever. Just because he's the maker of the music doesn't automatically make him right. It's an opinion, so yeah. With Risk, though, I don't necessarily think it's a bad album. I mean, I actually kind of really like this album because the songs are really edgy, they're hard-hitting. It's got a lot of different influences with it. I mean, like Insomnia, like it's got this little Middle Eastern kind of guitar to it, and it's really interesting to listen to. Like, of course, after the Omni Omni Omnis, but I mean, like, I've listened to I've heard the remastered version. It doesn't have the repeating Omni Omni parts, but it just sounds really weird. I don't know. I'm not much for a Megadeth remasters, but as far as Risk goes, I actually quite enjoy this album, with the exception of Ecstasy. I really do not like that song. It's just really repetitive, really annoying, and there were a few other songs. Megadeth. Gonna get up a track listing of this. Ecstasy, The Doctor Is Calling was and I'll Be There. I'll Be There was okay, but his voice, just his vocals, Mustaine's vocals were not suited for the type of song, the type of material that they were going for. It was a good song, good try, I guess, but it really just didn't fit. Something was just definitely off with this track. So, but overall, the worst song on here is Ecstasy. I mean, hell, even Breadline sounds like Almost Honest Part 2, and I actually really like Almost Honest. So, to me, Risk was one of those albums where I can definitely see why people wouldn't consider it a Megadeth album, or at least a proper Megadeth album, but at the same time, I mean, it's good music. It takes a long time to get into. If it was under MD45, which is Megadeth's side project, Mustaine's had a side project, look up The Craving. But if it was under that label, it would have probably gotten positive reception, because it is, in my opinion at least, a good album. Even Mustaine himself says it's a good album. So, in my opinion, I would definitely have to choose Risk over Saint Anger. No question. Hell, I don't even think that Risk is even their worst album for Megadeth. I think that probably either The World Needs a Hero or 13. So, my opinion, but, whatever. Everyone has one. But, in general, like I said, I have to choose Risk, because it's more dynamic. It has a better feel to it, more like they were actually trying, and like everything seems to have a focus. So that's my opinion. But like I said, this is meant to generate a little bit of discussion. This is a versus video, so I want to know what you guys think. Saint Anger or Risk? Which one is better? Which one is worse? Is there a track on the album you can't stand? Is there a track that shines above everyone else? For me, on Saint Anger, there's really no tracks that I like. But I do really like the riff in the beginning of Saint Anger, the title track. The beginning riff, the beginning, like, the chugging riff to it is just really, really interesting. But it just kind of goes off track when the drums pop in. So, yeah, the beginning riff to that, the beginning of Some Kind of Monster a little bit sounds a little eerie. And I liked the Unnamed Feeling for a little while until it kind of grew off on me a little bit. Or grew off me. As far as Risk goes, I would definitely have to choose Wanderlust. Wanderlust is actually becoming one of my favorite Megadeth songs overall, but, it definitely doesn't compare to anything off of, say, Rust in Peace, or Peace Cells, or any of those, or even Euthanasia. I love Euthanasia, so it's just really heavy. But as far as Megadeth's worst album goes, like I said, it's my opinion. It's not their worst album, but a lot of people seem to think it is. So that's why I'm reviewing it in here, or at least analyzing it. So what do you guys think? Risk or Saint Anger? Which one's better? And what is your favorite track off of each of them? So thank you very much for watching. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.